This is a lemon. For a lot of people, that's about the size of a large orange. I'm on my organic farm down in Florida. I have about 100 different variety of trees that are growing different types of fruit. Jackfruit from Indonesia, different types of cherries, and some exotics. Plus, I like to grow cinnamon and some of the olive trees. I've lived on an organic farm my entire adult life. Upstate New York and Stone Ridge and Texas and now here. I have been a firm believer that organic, locally grown produce is what we should be consuming. Lots of people go to farmers markets all over the United States. They're growing exponentially. And the organic stand is becoming one of the most popular stands. You don't see markets opening up that are saying genetic engineered local farmers market. We give you frankenfoods, or we irradiate your foods with 100,000 chest x-rays. Oh, and by the way, some of our research shows that it might adversely affect your DNA, your genes. You could end up with cancer or something else. Nobody would buy it. So why then is the USDA and the FDA and the White House so concerned that we, the public, should not know what is genetically engineered and what is organic? Now, we can say it's organic, which means it's not genetically engineered. But they don't have to label theirs as genetic. Hence, most of the soy, most of the corn, a lot of other products you consume are genetically engineered. Now they're doing it with fish. So a major campaign is underway where we are taking the message to the people, and many people are joining together from different groups. There was a time when you'd be lucky to get 20 or 30 people to attend a rally. Oh, we have thousands of people attending rallies now. When I started my farm here, a local health food store didn't have any fresh lettuce in July and August and September. I said, why not? They said, well, it's too hot. After all, this is Florida. It's very hot, it's very sandy, lots of insects. I said, well, does that mean something cannot grow here organically in this season? They said, that's correct. So I put together a garden here. These photographs give you an idea of what can be done in June, July, August, September, when no one else is growing down here, simply by using common sense, building up the soil and putting in a 30% shade cloth, which means that you're blocking out 30% of the sun, which means anybody could do it. And also bringing in fruits other than citrus. I have all types of fruits and also sprouting. These are cherries, and I've grafted different types of cherries together. These are wonderful. They have an ambrosia quality to them, very exotic tasting. And look at how many there are. Just, they're loaded down. Now what's interesting, because I spray a natural organic fertilizer every week of the year on the fruit trees, plus we have beehives over here. I have 40 beehives. This pollinates, this brings fruit 3 to 4 times a year. I mean, constant. This is a loquat tree, and as you can see, there are bees all over here, honeybees. But right here in this one little pod, you have about 50 loquat, and every one of these. So you have hundreds and hundreds of loquat per tree. I started this as a tiny little graft. Started this as a little seedling from a loquat seed. Now, when they're fully grown, they're about that big, about the size of an egg, and they turn from green to yellow. And the moment they're yellow, they have this wonderful flavor. You peel off the skin, or you can eat the skin, and it kind of combines a kiwi and an orange flavor. Well, locally, they were selling for $2.95 each. And so I'm figuring I have about 1,000 here, and I have 40 trees. And so I got about 40,000 loquats. Now let's just say that you get 1/2 of that, so I got 20,000. But then instead of selling it fresh, better to dry it. And I dry fruit, and then it lasts forever because I put it in a freezer, and then I could sell it at the farmer's market or to a health food store. This is a loquat tree right here. It's about 12 inches high. This was a seed just about 8 weeks ago. So it grew that much in 8 to 10 weeks. Now it'll grow about this high within the next 1.5 years, and then it just burst up. Now this is a TP, 3-piece of wood, and that's a freeze cloth. Because if I have a cold winter, and if I know in advance, and today you can know about 10 days out, and if it gets down into the 30s, I simply take this cloth at night and I wrap it around here. And by wrapping this cloth, it protects this plant, plus I'll put some old hay, about a foot thick around there. And all you do is you wrap the plant. You just throw this over it, and you stake this in the ground, and this way, this gives you 10 degrees minimum protection. If you double wrap it, about 15, and then if you put hay down, you get even more. So, for something that's not expensive and easy to do, I protect the plants. And in the process, let's say it's 30 here, below freezing, they could kill that or stun it. Under there where the plant is, because of the hay at the base, this is true for all your sensitive plants, roses included, and the wraparound of the freeze cloth, I've gained about 15 degrees, so it's actually like 45, and hence out of harm's way. These are your microgreens. This is where your sprouts
Well,
start.
these are our babies. We don't cut them as microgreens. As we move up the greenhouse, you'll see that they're more mature, so we put the new ones on this end, and we move them up as we start taking the mature ones out to plant in the fields. So these were planted 8 days ago. So within 8 days.
Then you have your misting system.
Yeah, and these are actually kind of the latest technology on misting systems. They work really well, give us good coverage, much superior to what I had 20 years ago. And they have a little valve that shuts off so the water doesn't keep dripping.
How often do you mist this?
Twice a day.
Okay, for how long?
2 minutes.
All right, how long will this tray stay here before
It'll stay in the greenhouse 4 to 5 weeks.
4 to 5 weeks. Now what are this over here?
Same thing, but just
Older.
a week older. And you can see these were planted
October 13th.
October 13th. So they've been in here 5 weeks, and they're getting planted probably tomorrow. You can see this empty spot here was probably all the same as these.
Now you're going to take us out and show us what happens to the microgreens that this is now. That started as a sprout, so it goes from a sprout to a microgreen to a plant in the soil to a plant.
Yeah, so we call these transplants. And so you can see they come right out. They have a nice little root ball, and that's what we're shooting for. So where they have a nice root ball, and when we plant them, they're well established, and there's not a lot of shock that takes place.
How many different varieties are you growing?
Well, right now probably about 15. During the course of the year, we plant about 60 varieties throughout. Our season here in this part of Florida is different than most of the country. Our planting season starts in August. And the best part of our growing season is now, November through March.
And you see, would you explain to people who don't appreciate how important all this root system is, these tiny little hair-like follicles?
Yeah, and in there's all kinds of rhizobia and different microorganisms that have a symbiotic relationship between the root zone and the soil. And they're the ones that are making the final transfer of nutrients from the soil and the other microorganisms right to the surface of the root hairs.
So when you have healthy, rich soil, you have a healthy root system, you have a healthy
Plant.
And that's beautiful kale.
The difference between conventional farming and organic farming is that we're feeding the soil. We're feeding the microorganisms in the soil. And those microorganisms convert the materials, the compost, and the different materials we give them into a form that the plants can use. And that's the way the natural system works. It's like our own bodies. We don't take the food and jam it into an IV and push it into our veins. We eat it, and the enzymes and the microorganisms in our own body, just like the soil, convert it to a form our body can use. That's the difference. In conventional farming, you use soluble fertilizers. You skip the whole microbial and enzyme and soil process. and you feed nutrients directly to the roots. People rethink their food choices when they have children. You know, they might not necessarily be so concerned about themselves and what they're putting in their bodies, but once they have kids, a switch flips, because now they're responsible for this young child's health. And they start rethinking their food choices, not only for their children, but for the whole family.
Well, the farm is a labor of love, and we are able to keep farming. So the profit is not just monetary, it's having the richness of the life on the farm, having our kids grow up on the farm. And if you didn't love it, you wouldn't do it. To make a farm work in today's culture as a commercial operation, the market comes first. And when I say market, I don't mean it in a money-hungry way. I mean it just in a way of you need to have a goal or a recipient of your effort who places value on it. And we view our marketing as building relationships and having meaningful relationships of exchange with people in our community. But without that value placed on the work that we do, this farm would not be commercially successful. We would be growing and eating for ourselves and giving the food away perhaps to whoever might take it. But if it has no value, or you have no method to properly get it in good condition to someone who's going to eat it, it really won't work commercially. There are many other factors, of course. You need to have the land, you have to have water, you need to have the capital to put into obtaining the many resources, fertilizer and seed and helpers, and there's a lot to it. But it all is really driven by the market. And because of the perishable nature of our crops, that market needs to be pretty well figured out before we ever plant. We have a total of 85 acres and 40 acres are in vegetable production. I would say around 5,000 people can eat from our farm, and that would include farmers market customers and our community supported agriculture farm members.
The apprenticeship program that we have develops individuals that have expertise and some prerequisites before they come to us. We have about 40 applicants a year, and we'll select 4 to 5 people out of that. So we have a pretty strong group when we start. Maybe 50% will go on to farming, and the other 50 will stay in agriculture or environmental studies programs.
It's very difficult to actually start a farm, so it's not something that everyone is cut out to do in terms of all of the skills and resources required. I think that we can, as a society, have a greater support for making farms possible for people in different creative ways other than just what we have now. And then more of the apprentices might find it a viable career option. But if you just master the production piece of farming, you still have a whole lot more to do if you want to have a successful farm. Running a farm business and having the ability to keep it sustainable is a major challenge in addition to the expertise. Genetically modified organisms, most of those to date have been more in the realm of agronomic crops than fresh market produce. So while you do have a few particular crops that have had the modification, for the most part it's in the corn, soybeans, and other agronomic crops. So most of our customers are not coming to us for our produce specifically to avoid the GM foods. However, most of them, I would say, have an awareness and a purchasing preference for those other crops that affect them.
The bill that was passed, it is very much geared towards wholesale agriculture. It is very difficult for small-scale agriculture small-scale farmers to satisfy some of the requirements, mainly through just the paperwork and record keeping and just the man hours required to perform the record keeping, and you know, just it is very overwhelming. I think, you know, many of the small growers will be intimidated by it, and fortunately there is an exemption for gross sales, and that should provide some leeway, but yet there are requirements that everyone will have to follow.
We have been affected by hurricanes. We've had the roof torn off of our barn. We've had flooded fields, frozen crops, you name it, but you just keep going. You pick up the dead crops and till them back into the earth and plant again. Post-harvest, we donate a lot of crops to feeding programs, like the Salvation Army and Good Samaritans and other organizations receive produce.
Most likely we won't get a complete harvest of these nasturtium flowers. Typically we're at least 90% harvested out, sometimes 100%, depending on the time of the season. You know, it varies by crop, and a lot of it is, you know, timing. You know, it's definitely a work in progress, a moving target, if you will.
But anything that's not harvested, it eventually goes back into the earth, or it makes its way into the tummies of birds or whatever other creatures happen to decide that they want our crops. And you know, we plant trees for wildlife habitat, and we encourage beneficial insects and birds on the farm. You know, we exclude any mammals that might cause food safety issues. Of course, we have fences, and we're very conscious of that. But we think that when we plant, we're not just planting for ourselves and the people that we're harvesting for. We're planting for the whole ecosystem. And part of it, it doesn't really go to waste, because there really is no waste in a natural ecosystem. These are nasturtiums, and they are in the watercress family. They are edible flowers, and they come in all different colors. This is called the jewel mix, and they really look like jewels. And the leaves also are edible. They have a peppery flavor. Beautiful. Here we have some cherry tomatoes. We stake them and use twine to hold them up from the ground so that they don't have disease. We have some lemongrass, and it's very tender the way we grow it. It's excellent in salads, and you can also cook it. Here's some radishes. They're coming along, little baby carrots. They'll be ready soon. They get nice and big. Strawberry flowers. Oh, here's a bigger fruit right in here. Soon. Strawberries soon.
We all need hobbies, and sometimes we get so busy we forget the significance of hobbies. Well, gardening, whether it's shrubs, trees, miniature dwarfs, bonsais, fruits, vegetables, herbs, seasonings, or spices, or flowers, they're all nice hobbies. And you get the reward of seeing them grow, enjoying them, eating them, the aesthetics, that your energy and their energy combines to make something wonderful happen. Now, I'm passionate about horticulture. I'm passionate because it calms my soul. The hours I spend in the nursery are peaceful and enlightening. And what I want to do is, I want to show you how easy it is for you to grow anything that you want. Anything. When I first moved to this property, I was told you can't grow anything here. In fact, there were only 2 trees, no grass, all woods or sand on this property. Today, there are over 700 palm trees. There are over 20,000 flowering shrubs. There's everything growing and filled with life and energy and the abundance of nature. Because I was patient. I didn't go to the landscape architects. I couldn't afford it. I just went out and found out where they bought their plants. I'll give you a little story. I asked a guy, a landscaper, how much does it cost to plant a palm tree, a row of palm? He said, oh, about $3,000. I said, wow, that's a lot of money. And he said, yeah, well, that's it. So I just asked around and I found out, where do the people buy their, landscapers buy their trees? Oh, over in Homestead, Florida, south of Miami, about a half hour. So I drove over there. So here's a whole plantation. So I said, how much if I bought a palm tree? He says, $300. What if I bought 50 palm trees? $100? Is that too much? I said, no. I got a flatbed truck, drove them over, dug my holes, put an enormous amount of topsoil in, and now I've got a $3,000 palm tree that cost me $100. You can do things for yourself. Don't feel that you're limited by what other people tell you. No one around me, none of my neighbors are growing lettuce in the summertime. Look, I'm growing all kinds of lettuce, cabbage and kale, and I'm growing the best tasty basil, lemon basil, lime basil, cinnamon basil, anise basil. All right? They said you couldn't do this. I'm growing peaches and cherries, 3 types of cherries, and I've had 3 crops this year. Pineapples, yeah. I'm growing, and by the way, a little trick. If nothing else, this is something that's a lot of fun. I was growing lettuce upstate New York in the middle of the winter when it was 3 foot of snow. I simply made a square foot. Now this is a 4 foot by 4 foot square. You could just build a square box. That's it. You put an insulation, aluminum insulation on the inside, and then you build it up 1 foot of topsoil, right? You put a lid on it with a light bulb under it. You can grow anything green right in the middle of the winter, right in the middle of a storm. It's going to stay at about 100 degrees under there. Well, what I did was I was growing lettuce, 4 foot square. I do what is called intensive planning. Instead of going by the directions on the bag, they say, all right, here's a bag right here. And by the way, I always store them in a plastic container. The rats won't get to them. These are cucumbers. It says 58 days it's going to grow. And then it says to grow them, tells you how many, it says 2 to 3 seeds at a time. That's because if one seed might not germinate. And it says to keep them about 18 inches apart. No, I put them real close together. It's intense. So therefore, when they start to come up, I transplant them. When they're about this high, I take them out and put them in a bigger plot. Now, this is what I do. Here's the trick. Never pull a head of lettuce out of the ground. Everyone else in the world takes a whole head of lettuce out. No. Take a scissors and cut the outside leaves like this. Maybe one here, maybe one here. Then from this plant, take one here. And from this plant, take one here. Now what happens is, you've got your leaves from different plants for salad. It'll grow back. I had the same head of lettuce growing for a year. A year. One little square. Someone else had all been gone in 1 week. So pick the outer leaves of everything. And also we've been told traditionally that when a plant bolts, meaning when it gets too high and a stem comes up, well then it's time to pull it out of the ground. Not true. Cut it with the scissors at the bottom and pull the leaves. It'll keep growing and it'll be fresh and sweet again. For instance, this is a bolted plant right here. And I simply cut the outer leaves and it starts over again. The soil is important. I get rich soil, at least 4 to 6 inches of soil. I put fish emulsion on it. I pH balance it. I give it the minerals it needs. I water it. And then I line up my seeds and I have categories. I'll have lettuces, all types. I'll have carrots. There's carrots growing back here. This is all basil. You can grow anything in a little tiny plot. Remember, the garden reflects your personality. So if you want more flowers, plant flowers. If you want to have, if you want to acquire, let's say some root vegetables, they're going to take longer. Whatever you want to do, you can do it. But it starts with passion. You're not limited. do whatever you want to do, and then feel the energy come in. When I get up after having my hands in the soil and planting, I feel good about life. I don't need a tranquilizer. I don't need anything that's artificial, because I've had what's real. And what's real is what's authentic. And the authentic connects me to my spiritual being. And it will you too. Let's talk about the healthiest vegetables that you can grow in your garden. Now, whether you're growing a very small square foot garden, indoor, outdoor, you should ask yourself, what is it I want to grow and why? Now, I'm going to give you an idea of some things. It's just an idea of what you can grow that's fun, that takes an average about, I'm going to say an average about 55 days. And here's what you do. First, you prepare your soil nicely. Measure the pH in it, get the minerals in it, get natural materials in it. By the way, cow manure and chicken manure and horse manure, they're great. In fact, anytime you have a horse farm near you, go and ask them, can you take away the manure? That manure enriches the soil, especially after about a year, even 2 years, even better. Now, this is a real easy thing to grow. It's an onion. I have onions growing right here. In fact, you can't see it at this moment, but you'll see it in a little bit. We have probably 100 variety of things growing. I have over 100 different types of lettuce I grow. Could you imagine making a salad with 100 different leaves of lettuce? The onion is special because it has its own natural insecticide built in. This is very hardy. Now, the onion is going to lower your blood pressure. It has anti-parasite, anti-bacteria. Almost everyone has some form of bacteria in their throat, strep or staph. This helps kill that. So growing onions, eating onions, great for you. And they're, butterflies. By the way, I don't know if you just saw that butterfly flew by me, but that butterfly means that there's no pesticides here. Bumblebees and butterflies don't do well where there is pesticides, and I have bees too. I have bumblebees and butterflies. Tomatoes, easy to grow. The key to growing tomatoes is always start with wire hoops. Now you can buy them or you can make them. And you make some wire hoops or wire baskets so that when they vine, they're vining up over the basket, so they're not sitting on the ground. Tomatoes that sit on the ground tend to mold or rot underneath or get bruised. As long as they're up, they're getting air. What you want to know in your plants is they need air to circulate. All right, tomatoes, lycopene, anti-breast cancer, anti-prostate cancer. If every woman in America had this amount of tomatoes every day, what you could easily do by juicing it, this amount of tomatoes will give you one 14-ounce glass of tomato juice. You could help prevent breast cancer. Men, you could help prevent prostate cancer. Potatoes. People fear potatoes. Don't fear potatoes. Potatoes are great. Russet potatoes, yellow, gold, purple, they're all rich in alpha lipoic acid. And alpha lipoic acid is good for you. It's one of the best antioxidants you can have. It helps protect your skin, your eyes, your brain, your heart, and it's in the potato. Also, there's vitamin C in a potato. In fact, there's a lot of vitamin C in a potato. We think of oranges, yes, but potatoes. Carrots, right here. These are carrots. See this? This is a baby carrot plant. I got a whole bunch growing here. This becomes this in about 60 days. This, by the way, I feed to rabbits. It's very rich in nutrition. This is rich in beta-carotenes. Immune system, your lungs. If you've been a smoker or you know someone who has, carrots are very good for them. Also good fiber in here. Easy to grow, very easy. By the way, something you may not know, root vegetables like carrots, you don't have to harvest in wintertime. Carrots will stay underground, perfect, all winter long. All right? You can harvest them when you want. Celery. I have celery going down here. Celery is very rich in potassium. It's a natural diuretic. It's a great natural blood thinner. It helps prevent stroke. It's good on digestion, easy to grow. And when it grows, cut it off. And the key in any of these vegetables is get the heat out. Now what happens is if I were to harvest this lettuce right here, let's say I've got some lettuce here. I have to pull it out of the ground. By the way, I never harvest this way. I always take a leaf off. This way the leaf will grow back. I can have this growing for another year, as long as I'm giving it fish emulsion every other day and keeping that soil with new fertilizer going in, it'll grow, 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 just like a human being. When I give it the fish emulsion, it's like giving it an IV drip of vitamin C. When I give it topsoil on a regular basis, which people never do. Never. Think of the mistakes. People never nourish the soil. They do it once, boom, and do it regularly. Well, what happens is this. This is important. Anytime that you're growing something, always remember that this is where the plant gets its nourishment. See these tiny little stringy things? That's where it absorbs its nutrients. So look how much of the nutrients are there. And look, the root is going deeper. I have to have nutrients down here. So normally people only have 2 or 3 inches of good soil. I get soil down sometimes as deep as a foot if I've got bad soil. I've got sand here, so I put topsoil sometimes down a foot. So as long as this thing keeps going down, it'll keep getting nourishment. And I keep it going like this. Anyhow, when I take this, if I didn't put this in a refrigerator, it's going to get wilted. First thing you do when you harvest, dip it in cold water. Have a cold water bucket. Boom, dip it in cold water. Put some ice in there. Then put it in a spinner, spin it, put it in a plastic bag. It'll stay for 2 weeks. Fresh, crisp. Why do you think so many people didn't buy organic food for 30 years? They go to the health food store and it'd be all wilted. They didn't know how to take the field heat out of the produce. Every time you harvest anything, take the field heat out and it will preserve itself. Now, then we have, what else I got in here? I've got, by the way, all this stuff I'm growing right here, everything you see. Squash. And the nice thing about squash is very hardy. Peppers, natural anti-insecticides, peppers of all variety. And finally right here, oh, and bok choy and lettuces. I'm growing about 200 pineapple. Here's how you grow your pineapple. You cut the top inch of pineapple off. Oh, look at that. I just harvested this 5 minutes ago, excuse me. Now, you always throw this away. Never throw this away. In fact, all you do is this. Watch what I do here. I got my soil. I simply scoop a little bit out, put it in, and cover it. And put water around it. That's it. In a year, it takes a year to a year and a half, sometimes 2 years. Be patient. You're going to have a humongous pineapple. And by the way, pineapples don't grow underground. Pineapples go above ground. In fact, a pineapple will come out the end here. You'll have a pineapple sitting on top of this. It looks kind of strange. So these are some things we can do. And also, you look around, you don't see a single plant in my whole garden here with an insect bite in it. Why? I use netting and I spray it with garlic. Garlic over your plants makes all the difference. So these are healthy things to grow in your garden. Try it. The medicinal value of fruit. The joy of growing fruit. Now, we're in a part of my orchard here. I'm able to grow over 60 different varieties of fruits. For example, and these are fruits you can grow. I don't care where you live. I'm growing northern fruits that they said couldn't grow in Florida. I'm growing them in Florida. And I'm growing in the north fruits that they said you couldn't grow up north. I'm growing them up north. Now, how do I do that, and how can you do it? How can you grow, and I'll give you an example of some things I'm growing, mulberries, 3 different types of cherries, peaches, pears, nectarines, guava, mango, at least 10 different varieties of bananas, 20 different varieties of citrus, everything from tangelos and tangerines to oranges, blood oranges, navel oranges, pink grapefruit, ugly fruit. What else I have? I'm growing star fruit and limes, lemons. In fact, I'm growing lemons that are almost the size of an orange, even sweet lemons. Also growing pineapples and grapes, and that's hard to grow down here, but I'm growing 3 different types of grapes. For instance, this is a peach tree here. My neighbor told me, I've been here for years, you can't grow peaches. I said, why not? He said, well, it's too hot. I said, all right. What can you do to compensate? The key in all growing organically is compensation. So if I have poor soil, I compensate by building the soil up. When I first got here, I asked a local expert in planting, how do you grow a palm tree? He said, well, you dig about a 3-foot hole and you put a little mill organite in, a little bit of fertilizer, and then you plant your tree and stake it and you water it. Okay, that's what everyone does. That's what everyone does. I says, well, how long does it take for that tree to take root? He said, oh, about 6 months to a year. I said, well, what happens if the root goes below the nourishment? He said, well, it's got a fine nourishment, but it could go 30 feet of just either water or sand. I said, that stunts the tree growth. That doesn't make sense. So what I did, and this is what I suggest you do, I dug a real deep hole. I mean like 6 foot deep and 6 foot wide, and filled it with topsoil and fertilizer. And then when I planted my tree, it had a lot of nourishment to grow from. And here's what happened. 3 days after I planted all my original trees and shrubs and flowers, one of the coldest weeks in Florida in 100 years came through. Nights were in the mid-20s. Well, after 3 days, up and down the street, every single thing was dead. And you see these trucks come by, and they've got these chipping machines, and they're going to charge you an amount of money to cut down your stuff and shred it. Everyone was doing that. And the guy came to my property and says, well, you want us to get rid of this dead stuff? I said, not dead. Compensation. He said, what do you mean it's not dead? Look, it's dead. I said, no. There's energy in the root. What do you mean energy in the root? I said, the energy's in the root. I will cut it back. I will trim the whole tree back. I will cut down some of the, like this, I would cut clear down to the nub. And then I will replant more soil around it. I will compensate once again. See, the trouble is, what people don't realize is when a tree is growing, it needs energy to get up to all these leaves. So every year, if you cut these back, cut them back strategically and cap it off, then it gives more energy to grow thicker. And if it's really cold and it's taken a hit, as long as it's got energy down there in the root, and as long as your base is strong and the energy's there, I wrapped freeze cloth around my bases when it was going to freeze. So yes, this all got nipped. This all these leaves, boom, they're gone. But the energy was still in the tree base. So guess what? I didn't lose a tree. In fact, because now the tree or shrub had the physical history of trauma and stress, it remembered it, and it made it stronger. So now I don't lose a thing. I wrapped my base of my trees, I wrapped the foundation, and I even made some freeze hoops for some of the very delicate things. Now I can go through a 29, 28, 27 degree night, and none of these sensitive trees are dead. So that's important for fruit trees. And cut them back, and there's books on pruning trees, and you got to prune them. You prune them, they're going to grow thicker. In fact, I remember one time this particular tree right here, it was about 4 feet higher. It was like up here. I cut all this. It was very skinny. Now look at this. Look at all the fruit. Look at this fruit here. Look at all this fruit. Look at that. That all came because I cut it back. And by cutting it back, more energy to expand. So there's where cutting back more soil. The key is more fertilizer. I come out and I fertilize these every single week. I put fish emulsion, the missing ingredient in all of organic gardening, fish emulsion. I also got a form of bat manure. By the way, bat manure is one of the best manures in the world. People don't use it. They should. Bat manure, fish emulsion, and ground up sea vegetation. Missing minerals, missing nutrients. So now, here you got a banana tree. Most people only get bananas once or twice. I get bananas constantly out of this. And again, I keep cutting it back out of season. So this is a tree this is only, by the way, 2 years old. It'll give me fruit this year. And most of my trees give me fruit. This is a cherry tree. I've gotten, look here, see where I cut back? All these are points I've cut back. It was way up here. I don't want the energy going up. I want it going into the fruit. Watermelons, I grow watermelons. You know, those are long vines. Keep cutting them back right beyond the bud. It condenses the energy. It conserves energy. The idea in all fruits is you want to condense energy. If it gets too big and too sprawling, the energy goes all over the place. Trim it back. And by the way, I've had 3 separate blooms here of cherries. And then you end up one day, And you look around and you think, my goodness, I grew myself a mango. This came right off the property here. I show you the tree and there's still another one on it. In the second year. Now, why do I grow these things? A, because I love to, and it's spiritual, and it grounds me, and it relaxes me. But also because there's medicinal value in here. Everything that goes in my body honors it. So the mango is rich in natural fibers, in natural sugars, in natural minerals, and very good for digestion. The grapes have proanthocyanidins. The grapes, by the way, which are used to make wine, help protect your heart and your cholesterol levels. The apple has 150 different phytonutrients, all important. The skin of the apple is very important, so you want to make sure you clean the skin if it's not organic with a veggie wash. You spray it on, agitate it, rinse it off, and then eat it. All right, very good, an apple a day. Lemons have limonene, which is in the skin. So when I juice my lemons, I juice the whole lemon. And that way, I put in a little raw honey. That helps prevent cancer and protects my cells from DNA damage from radiation or anything else in the environment could be hurting me. I have limes, oranges, which are good not only in bioflavonoids. In fact, if you open an orange, one of the best parts of the orange that nobody ever eats is this part, the white inside part of the orange. That's called bioflavonoids. That'll help prevent bruising. It'll help strengthen capillaries. For all of you people who have varicose veins and splotchy little veins, that will help you. It also helps your immune system. And the seed of the orange, when I juice it, it's very good. We have nectarines. By the way, nectarines grow right here. I get at least 50 to 100 nectarines per tree. And nectarines, like peaches, are very, very good for digestion, for phytonutrients, protect your skin, your heart, your liver, protect you against cancer. And what else I got? And of course, pineapple. And this just came out of my garden. And it's a small pineapple, but you can see it's yellow, very soft. So we look around here, and what do we have? We have the ability to grow everything from mulberries to cherries, from guava, from strawberry guava to major guava. And there was nothing here. This was just woods. It was just sand. It just took patience and time and not trusting or believing all the so-called experts, the authorities. You can't do this, you can't do that. Well, they're right. They couldn't. But I'm right. I could. No risk, no reward. I took a risk in believing that you can grow anything anywhere if you simply look for the right solutions. Patience, commitment, focus, honoring the soil, giving it what it needs, nurturing it, just like you nurture yourself. And then one day you walk out and you find a cherry on a tree and you pick it and think, my goodness, how great this is. Not just because it's medicinal and it'll help my immune system, but because I help in my own way in cooperating with nature. And that's what nature's there. Nature's always beckoning us. Nature's always waving to us, saying, come on over here. Work with me and watch the bounty that flows.